For my third creative critical reflection, I will be discussing how my production skills developed throughout the course of filming this project. When I started production for my short movie, I already had a pretty good idea on how to do filming. I'd done some shorter films prior for other assignments, but this was going to be my first full feature-length film. So it was going to be interesting to see how much I'd learn on throughout the journey. The filming was actually quite enjoyable, and solving issues was a more fun process than I had anticipated. Particularly, my grandpa and I were being very careful with how we filmed. Since we didn't want to break the illusion that we were in the forest, we had to be very smart with our cinematography. That way it would appear like it was filmed in the woods and not in a neighborhood with houses just behind the camera. In the director's cut, the film starts with a slow panning shot to establish the setting that it's in a deserted forest, showing the trees and general environment. In the Cambridge cut, we jump right away to the still shot showing the drawing on the tree, which establishes it as something important to the audience before the message on it is even read. Shortly afterwards, the hunter is introduced when his foot passes the camera on a ground shot. I felt it would be a really cinematic shot that would stand out otherwise in a short film with no budget. However, this one only appears in the director's cut, so if you're interested in watching it, I'll find a way to leave a link. However, I would say that the most cinematic moment of the short film is the dock scene, when the hunter is aiming his rifle at the shape, warning him to back off, while constantly cutting back to the shape teleporting closer and closer until the rifle finally fires, only to quickly show that the gun had no effect on the shape, which quickly cuts back to show the fear of the hunter. Most of the hassle came with the editing. One of the most particularly challenging issues was centered around the shape itself. I wanted the shape to have its eyes blackened out to make it seem like it was something beyond human, but working with positioning the effects that covered up the goggle lens proved to be a pain in the rear end, and I eventually decided to go and reshoot the dock scene with contacts behind the mask, which saved several days in the long run as well as my sanity. There was also a color-changing LED light bar that I thought would be useful for the film, but I never used it because it turned out that the camera itself was more than capable of capturing natural light. Overall, it was an interesting journey learning how to film and then how to use Adobe Premiere Pro. Very fun process, and learning how to do the lighting, the visual effects, and solving each obstacle that presented itself was a very rewarding process.